That's definitely too long at the end of that. Hello, we're back. Preppers Fireside. I think the last one was a best of kind of thing, so it's good to be back live again. Joined by Andy, the Bombardier. How you doing, Andy?
Yeah, I'm good about yourself.
I'm excellent. I'm excellent. You need to change it from the Bombardier because it's pretty much what is it? Shadows and sightings now.
Yeah, but I'll say later on when we do the spiel at the end. But I've changed my mind again. I'm gonna have the two. I'm gonna run the two instead of
All
just
right.
having the one.
Okay.
So that's why I changed it to that. Back to that.
Make your mind up, man. Make your mind up. And we're joined by Alan, the world survivalist. How you doing, Alan?
Good, good. How you doing?
Not so bad at all. I'm excellent. Thank you very much. And Benjamin from Renegade Preppers UK. How you doing, Ben?
All good. Thanks for having me, Mike. Hello, guys.
We are not responsible for Ben's chaos in front of him, and he's not in a war zone. It's just chaos.
Warzone's are tinier than Ben's desk.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent to have everyone here in the chat as well. We've got Rift Security, Miss Worm. I believe that's the moderator at the moment. Brian's in there as well.
Yeah, Brian's there.
And Evil's in there as well. So lots of moderators in there. They won't really moderate you unless you're being an arsehole. And if you're an arsehole, you'll just get booted out. It's pretty simple. The bar's very low, as Brian says. Brian makes it above the bar, so it's got to be low. So can really rip into him when he's not here. It's great. Right, so tonight we are talking about preparing for war. Now, this isn't fear. War is not happening right now, as in the UK is not at war, allegedly, right now. So don't think it's any sort of news thing. It's just general preparedness chat about the subject. So we will start at the very beginning. I'll go to you first, Andy. First of all, is this something you're preparing for? Before we discuss the ins and outs of how you're doing it, is war something you're preparing for, whether directly or indirectly?
No, I wouldn't say. If somebody was to ask me that question, that war wouldn't be at the top of my list, mate. It would be it would be power grid first of all, and then off the back of that, mate, it would probably be the economy. Those are probably the two things I could see happening first.
So it's not it's not going to happen. It just means it's probably not.
Yeah, it's just not top two, mate. Yeah.
Excellent. Alan, has war ever come across your mind as with all the news that's going on as something you prepare for, something you should be prepared for?
Yeah, it's something I prepare for. I think about it. Like Andy, it's not at the top of my list. Kind of at the top of my list is economic collapse, and it hovers between AI and World War III now. But I do put some things in place that are war orientated, conventional and all out sort of nuclear. So it's in the back of my mind, but I'm not 100% full on, NBC bag right behind me or anything. It's mediocre type prep.
No, not yet. So you're trying to convince us so desperately that you're saying, Alan, which is going to do the opposite effect. You know that, right? Ben, you're constantly monitoring military situations abroad and stuff like that, and the brink of World War III. So is that something that you're actively preparing for? Is that one of your priorities?
Yeah, it is at the minute. Pretty much me and Mrs. RP have been labeling it our little war watch. So we've been setting aside a few hours during the day. Me more so, obviously, than Mrs. RP with children. But throughout the day, we section off time where she'll come in with the kids and we'll talk to the kids about what we're seeing and what to, prepare for in the event of this or in the event of X, Y, and Z. So
you can tell which ones Ben's kids are in the school are the ones in the corner going, "We're all going to die tomorrow."
If that was the case, they'd be fearmongers, and I'd be like, no. But no, our eldest seems to have a good understanding, really, even though it's a lot for a child to absorb. We do it in a really fun and interactive way. So it's like with prepping and making fruit and veg at home. Take her out into the garden and show her, plant some carrots, plant some of this, that, and the other, and get involved that way. And she usually says, well, why are we doing our own salads and things at home? And I said, A, it helps save a lot of the pennies, because that's how we would word it to our daughter. So in that sense, and that little bit of an example, that's all we do at the minute is just war watch. And if things start getting a little bit spicy, we think, okay, maybe run a scenario here or maybe run this type of scenario there.
Yeah, if I turn around to Mrs. Urban Prepper and said, 2 hours a day, love, we're going to do War Watch, she'll be saying, you could do what you like, I'm not doing it. Definitely got a good one there. Keep hold of her, Ben. Right, so in this situation, whether it's your priority or not, my kind of thinking is to prepare the family more than myself. Because if it's a conventional war, Andy, you know what our numbers are like in the forces and stuff like that. If it was a conventional war, what would you give it? 2-3 months before they'd have to use conscription?
Not to be fair, mate, if war kicked off, it would be instantaneous.
You reckon,
Because
yeah?
well, only for me, if you think it takes what is it? So you would say what, 4, 8, 12? Say, for example, mate, it takes between 4 and 5 months to train someone in the infantry. If you do that at the 3-month point, you're then 8 months into the war. So that as soon as it started, or even before, maybe even a month before, you would have to get lads in the pipeline to to be crows, effectively, to be the casualty replacements of war. You would need the pipeline already in effect. So it would be in well before the war kicked off, mate, I would imagine.
Yeah. And the benchmark for that in the Ukraine went from fighting age males to a bit older, a bit older, a bit older. So nobody really escapes that, depending on how severe it gets. So with that in mind, this is why I'm talking about preparing the family, because if you are the prepper, I'm talking about us generally, but you could be a female and the dad could be staying at home. It could be relevant to anyone. But if you're the solo prepper in your family and you're the one that's conscripted, what have they left behind? So, Andy, is your partner clued up? Have you got a book? Are you leaving instructions? What's your plan with that? If you had to get called up, not a volunteer basis, because we know we wouldn't volunteer to fight Starmer's stuff, but if it was a compulsory.
It's a lot easier for me, mate, because it's just me and my partner. So she knows where everything is. She knows how we use everything. She's switched on. But it is only me and her. So if I did leave, she'd potentially get family members to move in here. Do you know what I mean? Right. So there would be there's cases. So for me, mate, as opposed to you guys, it's a lot easier for us too. Because once I left, it would be, like I say, it would be a lot easier. With that being said, mate, if it was the likes of you or Ben and we had to go, I would definitely have my own book of SOPs for once I left. It would be, for example, if I had to set up like Brian, it would be, this is the dummy guide. You flick this switch now, then you flick this switch to get the power going. This is kept here. I would definitely have a book of like SOPs, standard operating procedures for my family if I left, and I would do it down it to like sort of child could understand it. This is here. The tin opener is here. The jet boil is here. This is that. I would definitely have to break it down, mate, to be an idiot-proof guy. That's what I would do if I had kids and I was going to have to leave.
You've not got kids. Is the missus clued up on everything she needs, or do you think there's would you think you'd have to run through, if this was in the pipeline and we think this is literally coming, you're going to have a bit of time. Would you like talk to her about defense and plans and stuff like that?
Yeah, I would definitely. I wouldn't run through the stuff we have here, because like I say, she switched on and she knows what to do with it. I think I would definitely have it would be a hard and uncomfortable conversation about the realities of war and what is coming down the pipeline and how your mentality now has to shift from being peacetime to wartime, and not only what is coming down the road for us in terms of the enemy, how things would shift at home and the whole security situation at home. Because like in most places, mate, and I suppose I've been fortunate enough to go to countries where the bad guys are in power, and it wouldn't be any different here, mate. The people would escape conscription, wouldn't they? And even the guys who didn't go, there would soon be criminal elements turn up. So it would be a case of talking about how the situation would be here at home, and also how it's looking from outside. I suppose better way to phrase it: outside and inside threats. And the mentality that you would now have to shift from. Definitely, you're not just going to be able to go to Tesco anymore, type thing.
That's good to know. It's good to know. Thank you, Brian, for the £2 super chats, or $2, whatever, because you're over in the States at the moment. But thank you very much for them. Thank you, Ethan, for becoming a member and forcing me to put that horrible, horrible badge on my screen.
Come on, lad.
Alan, So you're kind of slightly unique situation where you don't mind me saying, because you've shared yourself, you're not like a prepper where you've got pantries and pantries full of stuff. You've got caches. Now, if you were called up, if you were conscripted, is the family aware of where these are, of what to do, how the equipment works, or is that yet to be done? What's your plan for this?
You know, I'm in a household of three, so there's me, the missus, and basically a 9-year-old. They do know where one of the caches is because it's her popular camping site, so she knows where that is. She knows she could go there, and if need be, she could dig that up. And there's some food and basic shelter and stuff in there should the house fall down. I think, like Andy was saying about putting together some sort of SOP is a good idea. I've got something, a civilian version of that, I suppose, which is there's a little binder in my filing cabinet where I'm sitting just now, which is actually just if I die at work, it's a life insurance thing. It's basically the passwords to my life insurance policies, the house deeds, all that kind of stuff. The stuff that you would need from a utilitarian point of view. It would be easy for me to update that a little bit by saying, look, also in the event of this, do this. I probably wouldn't try and write a manual about what to do in all-out war or nuclear war. I've got a couple of really good books for that I could simply sit right beside it and sit, put a note on it saying, also pay attention to this. We all have that problem of when we have a significant other who's not like a prepper or a survivalist. How much interest do they really have in it? I think it's important to say most people have a survivor's instinct anyway. And so they're not completely incapable of surviving, even if they don't think about this stuff all the time. And that's historically true for women when they're left at home when men go off to war. It happens in Ukraine, happens in the Second World War, etc. So it would happen again, I think. But slowly but surely introducing the normalization of preparedness and just paying attention to what's going on and being aware of something, I think is a good idea without putting the shits up them too much. What I mean? It's one of those things.
Yeah. Miss Worm says our ring binder of doom has a map to the kitchen for Mr. Worm. Does he know what to do when he gets there, though, Mrs. Worm? That's the problem. Does he know what to do when he gets there?
Go to fridge, open beer, done.
So Ben, I'm expecting to hear the absolute textbook answer if war is what you're preparing for. So how's the family prepared if Ben's called up into service?
They're probably lost. They're probably lost in that desk somewhere.
More than likely. I have you screaming coming from under the desk. I better check. No, I'm joking. But no, me and Mrs. RP sat at length and was discussing it, and I said, look, at the end of the day, you're going to look at the future. If conscription does come into effect, what are we going to do? And she looked me dead in the face and just went, I'll just take up the role as you. We've done everything together since we got together. I mean, we got together under different circumstances for a certain reason, and our relationship flourished into marriage. But everything we did, always together. And in a sense, I guess we both act like each other more often than not. So it's not really going to cost us a thing or an issue. It's more the kids. It's getting them to understand if Daddy has got to go, why is it only Mummy that is around?
But is she prepared though? Can she use the equipment? Does she know about comms? Does she have the plan? So that's pretty good if there's more than one prepper in the household. So that kind of defies that point. Would you leave the similar sort of book to what Alan and Andy's saying for the kids in case?
Yeah, we've already got one already being drafted up. We've done a few pages into it, so it's all in place, and the kids know. Well, it's only our eldest really who needs to know it, but our eldest knows where everything is. So it's like, right, if you need to get it in a really bad situation, because she's scared of the dark, like any child, she is petrified of the dark. Yeah. But I taught her how to use head torch. Now she can just put it on, click it once, and know where she's going. And I've trialed her. I've said, go straight downstairs, and I want you to find me the emergency book. I'm not telling you, neither is Mummy. Pretend we're not here. And we switch all the lights off as a scenario in that sense to see how she would handle it. So it's an ongoing thing with our children, but as for us as preppers, as parents, no issues at all whatsoever. Mrs. RP pick up the mantle like that, and I trust it with my life to do so.
That's cool. That's cool. Thank you, Brian, for the 5 gifted memberships. Whoever receives them, thank you very much. Really do appreciate it. Wasn't already a member. What a bastard. Shamed by YouTube gifts. Ben, you give me that vibe that if you were in the States, you'd be the family where the 7 and 8-year-old are already trained on the firing range and everything.
100% actually, yeah. No, I would agree. Because the thing is, I look at it this way. Martial arts is a self-defense, which is melee combat. If you think about it, if it comes down to it and you're in shit in the fan, you can use it as a form of self-defense, but also as a form of melee combat, hand-to-hand. So it's the same with the kids. If we were in America and we could teach them at a young age to fire a gun, damn right I would. I'd say to the kids, as long as you know how to dismantle it and put it back together again, and you only use it for self-defensive purposes or a STHF situation, go for it.
You know, I can just imagine, right, Ben sat at that desk, dismantling a pistol. Do you really think he could find the spring or the safety lever catch on that desk?
I will say this.
Goes to fire it, part of a toothbrush falls out.
I'll say this. I have lost a spring to a Joy-Con, so you're not far wrong anyway.
Tell you what, it is interesting to speak to a partner to see kind of where they're at with things, because I know when the old C19 thing was taking place, me and my partner had some disputes about that. What I wanted to do wasn't what she wanted to do, because she was very much a case of, well, the TV's telling me this, and they're experts. You're just a guy who spends a lot of time on the internet. So that conflict didn't arise until a real life situation happened. Yeah. She's perfectly fine to entertain me and anything I do up to the point where the TV's telling her something different. That's a conflict that some people will need to work out.
I kind of had an advantage with that, because unless it was Housewives of somebody or Love Island crap, she didn't watch it, so there's no mainstream media influence at all. I am the mainstream media in my house. So
I was going to say, mate, it was the opposite for me to Alan. Like when that happened, my partner was like, right, what do we do now? What things do we put in place here? How do we get through this? So it was the opposite way around for me for that one.
I thought that would be the case with me, but I was mistaken.
I'm the in-between with you two, because when I met Mrs. RP, it was during the start of COVID lockdowns, and Mrs. RP was working at the local hospital as an NA. So I kind of adapted into it. So it wasn't a case of Mrs. RP coming up saying to me, what do we do? Or me going up to her saying, what do we do? It's a case of, right, you got work today, yeah? Yeah, okay. I'll make sure the shower and all's ready. Spare clothes are at the front door. Yours are bagged, but your clothes in, so then go in the washing machine. We kind of...
Yeah, my sister was a nurse and had to live in her own garage for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So. The one benefit, I suppose, though, since that happened, she has come more round to thinking the way I do, because I now point out, look, remember when I said that and you said this? That's a bit of a double-edged sword using that policy, but pretty much everything I was saying has now slowly but surely became, they were wrong with that. Yeah, they were wrong with that. Turns out being in little groups in your house isn't a good idea. Turns out fresh air is good. Turns out sunlight is good.
This is exactly how we convert new people to prepping, because they're starting to see it. I mean, it's not just a prepping circle or a tinfoil hat circle now that say the mainstream media is full of crap and they lie. Everyone's seen it. Yeah, everyone's seen it now, political wise and stuff like that. Anyway, we're off track. We're off track. So you've all got kind of a plan in place for the family. But what about a plan in place for yourselves? Don't forget you could share your plans and stuff like that. Not full details, but anything you want to share in the chat, and I will highlight it and we will come to it incrementally. I've seen a few questions. Don't worry, I've not missed them. I've starred them for later. Andy, you probably is the most recent who's trained. What kind of fitness level do you think people should be looking for conscription level entrance?
So if the thing with if conscription happens to me, or even if you're generally thinking about joining the military, if that's something that interests you, the only thing, mate, that you have in your power to achieve before you go in is fitness. Because everything else you do, you're going to be shit at. Everything. From polishing boots to ironing clothes to firing a weapon, you're going to be shit because it's not the way they want you to do it.
to getting wadding stuck in your barrel and 3 recruits
Mate,
trying to pull it out.
To be fair to you, mate, when I was in basic training, I seen someone try to put a pillowcase through a barrel. Do you know what I mean? So you're not the. It happens to the best of people, mate. So fitness, mate, is the only thing that you have in your control.
Yeah.
And also, mate, if you go there and you are one of the fittest, you get an extreme amount of leeway off the instructors, or you did when I was in. So, say for example, mate, if you were at the front of all the runs, or if you're at the front of all the tabs and you're in the top 10, when it comes to being inspected for your uniform, if they pick up the odd crease, they'll let you off with it. Because they know where your fitness level is. If you're an absolute fat sack of shit and you're hanging out after 200 meters, you could have the most immaculate press uniform in the world. They're finding something. They'll put something there. Yeah. To get you on extra phase, to get you on show parades. They will do whatever they can. So fitness, mate, is the only thing that's really in your purview to fix. So what would say is, mate, I don't think there's a minimum base you should be at. You should just aim to go in as fit as you possibly can be. That's what I would say going in.
Yeah, and conscription, what are we saying? Would it be, do you think it'll be 3 months, or do you think it'll be like a 6-week crash course?
You could, like I say, mate, if conscription comes in, it'll be well before the event. So you've got a constant pipeline. You can't. Like I said before, I'm with Al on this. I think conscription's a batshit crazy idea. Yeah, our military's always been the best because it's been a volunteer one. That's why it's always been the best in the world. But that being said, mate, if conscription was a thing and it was a necessary evil, you would have to have a constant pipeline. I can only imagine, mate, if they said, right, we'll do a 6-week crash course, for example, like you said. I can imagine, mate, the pushback would be such that it wouldn't happen. It would still have to be the correct pipeline, because at the end of it, mate, you're creating a meat grinder, for want of a better word. If you're training guys out in 6 weeks, that's barely enough time to learn how to fire a rifle properly.
Yeah,
and you're not going to. And also, mate, 6 weeks worth of fitness is nothing.
Yeah,
I remember.
And then people after 6 weeks are not, so everyone gets kind of a picture. Then after 6 weeks, then people are not going to form a regiment that then go off and combat somewhere. They'll be put 3 in there. There'll be replacements for casualties all over the place.
And also, mate, you then become a liability.
I was just going to say, you put them at risk.
Yeah, the lads on the front line who have experience of being on tour and being warfighters, you then put the onus onto them, and you're like, look, he's had 6 weeks, but now it's your job to train him on the job as you're being shot at. It's just a terrible idea, mate, that.
Yeah.
Could I just point one little thing out very quick?
Have you found that spring on your desk?
Aye, probably. I hope. No. Realistically, though, it wouldn't be 6 weeks, because the first 7 days is going to be spent evaluating where you're at, where they'll stand and watch to evaluate where you're at, what your physical level is.
Not necessarily. I think if it got to that stage where it was a crash course like that, there'd be no evaluation in it. It would be a case of you'd go in, you'd have a medical. It would be a day-long medical. That would it. 24 hours, right? You'd have your medical. Okay. Then you'll be training. They will evaluate you as you go, and it'll be you're washed out. Now you've got a desk job somewhere or what have you. But it will be. I tell you, a good realistic is look at more World War II training. I think it would more revert back to that. It wouldn't be this softly red card, green card thing that they're doing now. It'd be back to Bad Lads Army. It would be back to, bombardiers and corporals in your face giving you hits because they've got a very finite amount of time to get you ready. My opinion.
I tell you what, just mentioning World War II there. I remember reading a thing some time ago. The Luftwaffe at the beginning of the Second World War was the best trained air force in the world. By near the end of the Second World War, they were making pilots within 2 weeks. Can you imagine learning how to fly a plane in 2 weeks and then being sent into battle? That's what they were doing. Of course, they weren't jets, but I imagine they're harder to learn how to operate than a car. And
it was even quicker for the Japanese because you didn't need to know how to land. So Alan, thank you very much, Anarchy, for your super chat. You could stick conscription the same place as their ID card. We'll touch on that kind of, not the ID card, but we'll touch on that kind of attitude shortly as well.
Mike,
are
we touching on this Pete Hesketh getting all these admirals and generals together? We'll
What
touch on that
crazy-
later, or
That is
We
crazy.
can talk about we can talk about that at the end, yeah, by all means.
Cool.
Yeah, we'll go through this preparedness side of things, and then we'll open it up to as long as people want to stay. You gotta go. Alan, you're the one getting conscripted. You've got, what should we say, 2 weeks notice, right? And you've got to report such a place, right?
Yep.
Your fitness level now, or training, is it something you've considered, something you've thought about?
I mean, like Andy says, the fitter you are, the better you are. I mean, that's just common sense across the board. I don't have any physical injuries, and I don't have any sort of medical conditions or anything, so I've got that benefit. But I'm nowhere near I'm 41 years old. There's nowhere near as fit as I was when I was 27. I still spend a lot of time outdoors. So I still do a lot of hill walking and things like that. I do a little bit of Brazilian jiu-jitsu, which keeps me semi-fit. But I eat crap. I drink beer. I sit around too much watching the internet. I've got, I probably weigh a stone more than I should. I'm not at the peak of fitness at all. If I ran up the flight of stairs, I'd be blown out my arse. So yeah, if I had 2 weeks notice, that 2 weeks would be spent prepping my family, buying everything I possibly could to prepare them, and doing as much fitness as I possibly could, because, the fitter you are, the better you are in any situation like that.
Yeah, definitely. Same question for you, Ben, fitness wise, if you're there.
I am, yeah. I'm just looking for a table for Mrs. RP, but I can still answer.
Yeah,
good
so
luck
for
on
me-
it, not mess.
The table's under all that shit somewhere, Ben, if you're looking for the table.
I didn't
Do
have
this.
being after the kids. No, it's all good. So basically, for me, mine is focusing on getting my weight up a little bit more first. I'm a little underweight for my BMI, so I want to bring my weight up to around about the 10 and a half stone mark. But as for sort of stamina and endurance, I need to give up smoking, and that's one thing I'm cutting down on all the cigarettes, so I can get back
Get the book.
get back running.
Get the book, I said.
I will be. As soon as we get paid, I'm getting it.
Yeah,
Because
get
Mrs.
it.
RP has told me to, otherwise I'm sleeping outside.
Yeah, there you go. That's fair. Thank you for becoming a new member, Kate. One thing I did pick up, and you'll find it online, you'll find it on eBay. I've not got a link for it or anything, and you'll find it in most Army Navy stores, is this official British Army fitness guide. I also had the older version of this. You could take it with a pinch of salt, but it starts you at a very, very low, easy level. You're not talking about a 10-minute run. You're talking about a 10-minute walk where for 2 minutes during that you will be running. So it starts you at a very low level. It gives you a complete weeks like guides and lead up to it. So different weeks of different sets, and you build up to a good fitness level. And it cost me £2 at an Army and Navy store. So it's something I'm following now, and I'm going to put a series of videos up on it, how you can do it at home and stuff like that. But anyone can get a little bit fitter, even if it's just, even people say, oh, well, I've got such a problem, I can't do anything. You can eat a bit better. Anything to improve your body shape or your fitness level is going to help. And at the end of the day, if you are getting conscripted, you just want to be able to run a bit faster than the other 3 guys that got conscripted that are next to you, all right? Yeah. So
I'll just say, just that bit on, everybody thinks that people in the military are like a super athletes, right? And that's the thing. But the army, mate, and PEIs in the army are dog shit. They are dog shit, right? I can guarantee you, right, mate, what Alan does at jiu-jitsu is far more beneficial for his cardio than anything the British Army can serve you, right? They are dog shit. The only good thing, right, mate, that PEIs get people to do, or get the lads and lasses in the army to do, is they teach you your body is more capable than what your mind thinks it can do. That's all they're good at. So when you're hanging out with your hoop at mile 2 and you've got 4 more to go, all they do, mate, is teach you that your brain's tired and your body's really not. So they are shit at fitness. There is so many more quality things out there with strength and conditioning, jiu-jitsu. There's a million and one things, mate. If people want to ask me on Discord what I would suggest training in. Because when you go into the army, they are dog shit. Honestly, mate,
even calisthenics, if you're limited motion, calisthenics,
like,
stuff like that.
I honest to God, mate, the PEI school, I think they've been taught the same things since we wore red coats and fired muskets, and it's never ever changed. Honestly, like I went in, and when you watch videos, it's like black and white videos, and you think, all the money we get, and this is what you're churning out. Do you know what I mean? Like
I remember watching a
nothing, mate,
Shark Watch video from the 70s.
Oh, mate, honestly. So if anybody thinks you need to be like an army level of fitness, I can guarantee you, mate, I've been at CrossFit gyms and I've been to other gyms where there's people in that gym who would far surpass most people in the army. The only difference is when they start to get tired, that's when I would say maybe lads in the military would be able to beat them. Because the mentality, mate, is the only difference. It's not really fitness levels; it's more so a mentality thing.
Yeah, so I want to just plug Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because Andy's mentioned that. Like at my class, it's all ex-police guys, Marines, Army, and they all say the same thing as Andy's saying. That it's a different level of stuff, and it's something anybody can get into. By the way, look it up, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's you don't have to be, the Karate Kid to get into it. It's just a fantastic way of being really fit, and there's a whole other aspect to it as well that you'll learn.
Yeah, excellent. I get what you're saying, Andy. I don't know if you remember your initial selection training and stuff like that, but the recruitment office, because they always tell the truth and they're wonderful people in the recruitment offices, had me. I was running around lodges in Bolton and stuff like that, and I could not get my time. I thought I was going to fail all day long. And I genuinely couldn't get my time when I'm running on my own. Now, when I had a group with me and there was a corporal at every other corner shouting at me, telling me I'm well behind, I'm going to be late and stuff, you're not going to make it and stuff like that, that motivation, I made it with 2.5 minutes to spare.
What is the mile and a half time now? My brother's in the was in the signals. He's in the TA now. He's telling me that the mile and a half time you can walk it.
Wasn't it 13?
So it used to be, mate, when I was in, it used to be 10 and a half minutes. Yeah. It used to be 10 and a half. Then when to bring it in line, there was lots of animosity, mate, and there was a lot of grievance that the women's time and the men's time there was a lot of difference. Because I believe off the top of my head when I was in, women got 14 minutes. And a lot of lads' grievance was we're getting, and I won't go into the politics, mate, but there's a grievance there, yeah? So what they did was, 2 years ago, maybe, they dropped the men's time down and raised the women's up. So I think across the board now it's maybe 13 and a half minutes.
I was going to say, I thought 13 and a half is what...
I think that's what it is now.
So you can walk it then. That's walking.
Oh, yeah, 100%, mate, yeah. 100%, mate, yeah.
That's mad. Yeah.
So obviously, back in the day, mate, to get a 10.5 minute mile, you have to be running 7-minute miles.
Yeah.
To get a 10.5 minute mile. And that's solid. So that's...
You could do it at a steady pace as long as you maintain that steady pace, or you could do it as starting faster and slowing down. There's different methods of doing it. But if I remember rightly, Andy, other regiments, there was as low as 9.5 minutes for some regiments. It depends on who you're joining.
So back when I did it, mate, you had to do, if you wanted to go parachute regiment, you had to do it under, originally, mate, you had to do it under 9 minutes. But if you could do a deadlift of 116 kilos, they would give you an extra 30 seconds. When I did selection, so you got 9.5.
Can you get an extra 30 seconds for every 100 kilos you can deadlift?
No, maybe just the one-off 30 seconds. But then he gave me. But then, like fitness in the army, mate, you can never believe them, because like when I went to do the All Arms Commando course, I could not for the life of me pass 1.5 miles in boots when I was at Oakhampton, right in Dartmoor. And then when I went to do the All Arms Commando course, I did my 1.5 miles in boots in 8 minutes. And I thought I'd failed when I got there. And when I was talking to one of the lads, he was like, well, we're going to have to go home. We've failed. And one of the PTRs was like, what are you two talking about? And we're like, oh, that we failed. And he was like, you've got 8 minutes and you've got 8:02. Why do you think you failed? And I was like, because I never ever passed one. But our company went, oh, yeah. He went, your 1.5 miles, 2.13 miles. Did they not tell you? So all that time, mate, I'd been flogging my nuts to get under this, but it was really 2.13 miles. And that's it, mate. So, like, you
overtrain, under-deliver.
Exactly, mate. You're not even, you half the time, you don't even think you are fit until you go to someone and they tell you, no, actually, you've been running, like, 3/4 of a mile more than you should have been running.
Yeah. Love it. Excellent. Yeah, so fitness is it's key to survival in general, and I know people hate it when we mention fitness on prepping channels, because we have a lot of sofa preppers, we have a lot of people that are older, a lot of people that are disabled, stuff like that. But fitness doesn't, like Andy says, have to be super athlete. There's all sorts of levels, and just give your body the best chance of survival, whether it is war situation or any situation. If you're going hungry, if you're without water for any period of time, I know we have the very vague rule of 3, but the fitter you are, the longer that'll stretch and the longer your body will hold out. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. So the family's prepped. We've got our books. We're prepped. We're ready to go in. So that's fine. Other stuff though. I'm going to come back to you last again, Andy, first for this one.
No
It's the last bit about joining up. If somebody's genuinely looking at joining up, I remember the printout of the recommended shopping list before you joined that the recruitment office give you and stuff like that. What will they not get told that they should buy or have for themselves before they go in to give them a edge or help them?
So basic training, mate's a weird one, as you'll know, because what they want you to do is use all issued kit and equipment. That's what you want you to do. So you can't really get away, mate, with when you first join. You can't get away with your own boots. You can't get away with you can't get away with all the Gucci stuff that's going to make your life any better. The stuff I would recommend you get is stuff that they're not going to see. So, for example, 1,000-mile socks. That type of thing I would buy. You'd probably get away, mate, as well with buying your own base layers, because the ones you get issued are dog shit. And I would say things like dry bags, quality dry bags, take them, because even though you're not supposed to use them, I got some given before I went, and I got caught using them, and one of the instructors asked me in the middle of the night, where'd you get them from? And I said, oh, they were given to me from one of my uncles who was in, and he was like, oh, what was he in that? I had a bit of crack with him, and he went, all right. He said, I'll let you use them, but he said, make sure the instructors don't see them, might get hard on for you. So there's certain things, mate, if like things like that, you would very easily be able to get away with. But once you were in, there's a million one things, mate. To be fair, there's a video on my channel, 10 things I would take if I was conscripted.
Perfect.
But I mean, there is other things. If you join me, I would say, like me and Alan were talking today, own webbing. I would buy my own smock. 100%, mate, I would buy my own boots. I wouldn't be. And I know everyone thinks that they're getting a set of Altbergs and a set of Akus for 80 quid that the army issued. It's bullshit. They're not made by Aku and they're not made by Altberg. And I don't care what anyone says to me, mate. I know what the contract is and I know who makes them. And they're not made in Yorkshire and they're not made in the Aku factory. So if you want them types of boots, you need to get them from Altberg factory in Richmond, and you need to go to the Aku places to buy them. They're not by the by. But anyway, mate, that's what I would do. If you were going in, I would buy things that you can hide. So say, for example, a Leatherman that you could hide. Dry bags, your own socks, base layers.
Spare shotgun.
the stuff, mate, that goes unseen, that instructors aren't going to pick up on.
See, the thing is as well,
good quality underwear. Good quality underwear.
Yeah.
Just talking about if you're thinking about joining the sort of regular army, it's because you want to be there. This is the whole thing about conscripts. So you're going to try and do everything you possibly can to please the people that are your superiors and all that kind of stuff. But if you're a conscript, you couldn't give a shit about this stuff. If you take a look at conscripts for Vietnam, right, the standards for them in basic training was far, far lower than the regular army guys in the American army, because the American army regular guys want to be there. They want to impress. They want to do everything correctly. The other guys are just like, how do I get this sentence over with?
Yeah. Well, I mean, just I love our American cousins, but after seeing their version of a military parade, I'm not sure I rate whatever they're training their troops at the moment, because they can't even march. But yeah, it's a good point. If any one of my mods can nip over to Andy's channel really quick and put the link for that video of 10 in the chat, that would be awesome, so people can save and watch that after as well. Right. Nuclear, we'll have to touch on it very briefly. I don't think it will be a nuclear exchange at any point, anything like that. Again, this is not fear-mongering. We're just going to talk about it. So, I mean, preparing for nuclear, you either have to have a huge budget or you've got to prepare for the side effects, the potential fallout, the potential knock-on effects of logistics and stuff like that. So we're not talking about building bunkers here. Let's just put that down first. So the question is, we'll come to you first, Ben. Immediate action. If a warning of a nuclear attack were received, what are the 3 most critical actions a person should take in the first 10 minutes, assuming they are near a densely populated area?
Get in, stay in, tune in.
Okay, you sound fresh from the protect and survive adverts there.
I'll be dead straight with you. This is.
I'd be
my
like, get the
topic.
fuck out of there. Get the fuck out of there.
I'll be straight with you, okay? So before we go into it, very, very, very flash, brief overview. I've always found nuclear stuff intriguing before I was a prepper, even as a prepper. The Chernobyl series was something that helped inspire that later in my life when it came out, but I've always loved the theories of nuclear, the thermodynamics, the hydrodynamics, all elements of nuclear energy. And the reason I sound so straight off the advert wagon is because I've been watching what's been going on with Zaporizhia, like I mentioned to you earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing it had me thinking about is this: well, it's not going to affect us in a massive explosion sense if something was to go wrong with it, if it went into a meltdown or something else, like, I don't know, a drone hit it or a scandal or whatever. All we would deal with in the UK at that, if that happened, is radiological fallout. So for us, it would all be a case of, have you got your draft excluders? Yes. Okay. Have you got your duct tape? Yes. Right. Seal up all drafts, seal up all the doors and windows, and then hunker down. Stay where you are, hunker down. If you're outside when you don't know it's happened until the last minute, it comes over the phone or something, radiation's been detected in the air, get in, stay in, tune in. Immediately go. It don't matter where you are, just immediately beeline to the nearest building and hunker yourself down.
Okay, fair enough. That's first 10 minutes. That's good advice. Alan, same question for you. Critical actions a person should take in the first 10 minutes of hearing a warning or an alarm, or, you know, the phone's just done that bleepy thing and nearly made you crash your car. What's the first thing? First 10 minutes, three actions.
If you're talking about first 10 minutes, again, it's going to be try and get away from the outdoors, get inside, and get as far down as you possibly can. You know, seal yourself into a room. If you've got a basement, go in there. If there's an underground car park, go into an underground car park. If there's an underpass or something like that and you're outside, that's what you want to go for, something like that. You have to know where you are in the country to work out what it is you need to do. Are you bugging out from that location? Or are you staying in that location? You haven't really got a lot of time in 10 minutes. If somebody told me, no matter where I was in the country, I could be right in the middle of London, or I could be in the middle of the countryside. If somebody told me there was a nuclear missile coming, you've got 10 minutes, I would immediately run indoors. I would close all the doors. I would shut the curtains so the glass didn't sort of smash all over me. I would try and get under as much cover as possible. I would get some of this iodine, and I would take that as quickly as possible, because this works within... Really, you want to take this stuff. Yep, same sort of stuff. Potassium iodine, which just floods your thyroid full of iodine, which gives you a little bit of protection against any radiological effect. But you have to take it within an hour to 6 hours of being exposed.
Okay, so on that, because YouTube doesn't like medical advice or anything like that, we're not telling you to take it. No. However, there's many schools of thoughts on potassium iodine. It's iodide, sorry. And basically, dosage-wise, adults over 18, you're looking at 2 of these, 130 milligrams, okay? Adolescents, 12 to 18-year-olds, as long as they're over 70 kilos, you're looking at the same dosage. If they're under 70 kilos at that age, you're looking at just single dosage, and same for kids 3 to 12. It goes lower and lower. We're not advising you, but you can look them tables up online. Now, many people think that adults over 40, because they're very low risk of developing thyroid cancer from radioactive iodine, they should generally not take it unless the predicted exposure dose is very high, so greater than or equal to 500 rem, which is expected to cause lifelong hypothyroidism. There you go, I said the word. So what's your thoughts on that, Alan? Because people say we're past, I mean, me and you are the same age. We're past the magic number, right? We can just bin these.
I tell you what, you have no idea, nobody has any idea what your level of radioactive exposure is going to be when a nuclear missile's coming. Because you don't know what it is, what its yield is, how far away it is. You don't know anything about it, right? I would much sooner overdose on taking these are 400 milligram tablets. I'd rather overdose taking these, right, than I would dying slowly of radiation poisoning because I didn't bother. These can be broken up, obviously, to, like you say, I wouldn't give my 9-year-old one of these tablets. So I've got it on the back of this bottle. It says for a 2 to 12-year-old should only take 65 milligrams. Okay, these are 400 milligram tablets. So I would have to chop stuff up here, but this isn't going to kill me. Okay, whereas I'm pretty sure exposure to fallout will horribly kill me. So I'm just going to do it anyway. I'm not a medical expert. Don't take my advice as gospel. This is just what I would personally do. Based on my research, I have these. They're inexpensive. They last a long time. They're in my medical cabinet. Why not have them?
Yeah. During the apocalypse, you should always consult your doctor before taking anything.
Surely it would be, go to your local prepper in those times.
Yeah.
Doctors would have all bugged
The
out.
thing is with these as well, you don't need a lot of them. It's not advised. You're only really supposed to take them for, I think, a maximum of 14 days. The 14 days is quite a magic number, actually, anyway, because that's roughly how long you would want to hide in your house to hide from sort of the worst fallout. Anyway, so I would just take these the whole 14 days, to be honest. There's 365 tablets in this little box, which is more than enough for me and my family to see out that period of time. And I would be more comfortable giving even my child this than just hoping for the best, because you can't see, smell, or detect radiation.
Yeah,
you can taste it. That is a known fact, even though there was, speculation that, that was made up for TV and all. If you look really into it, it does give off a coppery metallic taste.
I think at that point you're probably pretty screwed, because I mean it's kind of like a campfire. If you can think how far you can smell a campfire. It's pretty far away. If you can smell a campfire, you're being exposed to campfire particles, and that's the radioactive particles are smaller than that. And they destroy your cells, and they can get you cancers. So I would do anything possible to avoid that.
Right. Ben's going to release a video soon where he goes to a nuclear power station and licks the walls and lets us know what the flavour of radiation is.
When nuclear power stations are different from nuclear weapons as well. That's another thing to point out.
Yeah. Andy, first 10 minutes, alarm goes off. And you're near quite a populated area, not the capital, but quite a populated area. First 10 minutes, what's actions on for the first 10 minutes?
Open a bottle of spirits, mate, on my drinks cabinet. And then enjoy myself, mate. It's something I've been quite open and honest, mate. It's something that I don't prepare for. I have no interest in living through or beyond. I know how shit it was when I did it in the military, living in that stuff and blotting yourself with Fuller's Earth and all that crap. I hope I'll go with the bang.
Okay. Well, you might not, so...
Well, if I don't, maybe I'll turn into something like out of Fallout 4, and I'll turn into some big mutant monster and just roam the earth and go to Hawkins and smash your solar panels.
Andy the Ghoul coming soon.
I know we don't want to get bogged down in the nuclear stuff, because it is a bit overwhelming, that stuff, but you should prepare for some sort of level of nuclear war. Unfortunately, anybody who's ever read the Ceph report will know that thermonuclear explosions in the UK are pretty much devastating. You're talking just 10 bombs would kill 1/3 of the entire population of the UK. It is worth, in my opinion, knowing where you are in the country. Are you a target or not? And you can do this very easily by using a website like Nuke Map, putting in the yield that the Russians are likely to use, and taking a look at the most likely targets, which are major cities, military bases, and places of interest. And then at least knowing, okay, that patch over there in the country is not likely to actually be directly hit. That's my bug out location. Make that your bug out location.
Right. Let's skim over the other bits of nuclear, because we don't want to take up the whole hour with nuclear. But yeah, there's loads of resources and stuff like that. So
just one on that, Mike. I seen those photos in Discords, mate, of the of the police cars and those trucks that people saying that nuclear weapons and that were on.
Oh, the transported,
yeah. So that, mate, during the day would have been a dry run. There would have been nothing in them. Now,
even closing the motorway, because they don't usually close it. Like I've seen them in Stirling where there's traffic.
And I can't tell you why or how I know, but the real ones happen during the early hours of the morning in the middle of the night. So that 100%, mate, would have been a dry run.
They
Okay.
do transport them because, like, I've seen the transport from Coalport. Coalport's not far from where I live, and that's where they store the nuclear weapons. And they do dry run them though, but I think they mix the times up a little bit. So because they need to avoid protesters. There's always protesters when this happens. Hippies, hippies on bridges.
Why avoid them? Just put cow catchers on the front of the front truck. That's fine. Problem solved. Right, quickly. Fallout protection. I'm going to skip you, Andy, for a second because you're already melted and turned into a ghoul. Alan, what's in the cabinet Fallout protection wise?
In the cabinet Fallout protection wise, other than the iodine, there's not a lot of Fallout protection other than just an understanding of exactly what Fallout is. So Fallout being radioactive particles. Most nuclear weapons or most nuclear attacks would be airburst, which have got a lower yield of fallout because they're more destructive, but there's not as much particulate. That said, I think there probably would be some ground-based ones purely for the purpose of causing like dirty bombs and things.
I was going to say, if it's a terrorist organization, it's a one-off dirty bomb. You
so
guarantee
100%
it's going to be a
a
ground-based.
Yeah. So for that one, I mean, the more layers of protection you can get between you and that, the better. So if you're in a house, try and seal up the windows. If you've got plastic sheeting, turn off any fans, turn off any shut any vents that you've got. Try and seal yourself in as much as possible. The thing about Fallout as well is people seem to think it lasts for thousands of years. In reality, there's something called the 7-10 rule when it comes to Fallout, which is, I think it's something like after 7 hours, it falls by 10%, and it's logarithmic. So every 7 hours, it falls by 10% again.
Yeah,
which
it's
means
it's an order of magnitude every time. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, after like what that would be after 2 days, it would only be 1% of the original contamination as it was when it first happened. So stay away from that. If stay away from particulates and particles and anything that's sort of fallen from the sky, but understand where the wind direction is. I mean, so the wind in the UK generally is a westerly. There's a major city to the west of me. Glasgow's to the west of me. I know Glasgow's a primary target, and I know the wind will come over me and it will take about an hour and a half. So I'll factor that in. And if you take a look at the website I mentioned earlier, the nuke map, it will actually show you the fallout zones of
and
where
you can set the wind direction.
Set the wind.
Speed.
Yeah. So just get on that. Just find out where you are in the country and work that out now, and then work that into your plan.
Yeah. Ben, do you have any NBC gear, masks, anything like that?
Yep, I got a couple of links. One sec. I just want to post in the chat. So this is for the, what do they call them? Filters. And just quickly throw that into the main chat as well. And
if that desk's anything to go by, there's no way on this planet he knows where it is.
I don't think that's working, mate, because it's split up on my chat into 3 messages. The link's too long.
Keeps happening. Oh, right. Okay. I was going to say that keeps happening on my normal messages anyway since I upgraded on StreamYard. But anyway, no, we've got our respirators. We got our 3M masks and filters. We've got our dosimeters. So me and Mrs. RP got one each. That's tucked away in the box. And yeah, pretty much we've got all our draft excluders, a couple of dust sheets, some thermal insulated sheets, some potassium iodide. Just to make sure, because the thing is, I don't think we're going to get anything severe nuclear actually unfold. I only think our main, most concerning point, but our main most concerning point would be something like an NPP going into meltdown because of a war. So the only thing we're really prepping for is in the eventuality there may be a nuclear fallout that may last 14.
It's like Andy says, it's 2 to 1 you're screwed anyway, and even if you are that one, you're in the Stone Age.
So we've got everything we would practically need, nothing over the top, just the basic essentials of PPE.
If Russia airdrops their largest water balloon over London, I'm toast, says Polonium. So there's loads to go into. We could probably do a separate fireside purely on nuclear at some point, so I want to skip over that now. Conventional war is probably more likely. Not on our shores is probably more likely. So we're looking at the knock-on effects of war, what that means for us, and stuff like that. So if it's conventional war, Andy, it's fair to say at first, to look like they're doing the right thing, it would be military targets and infrastructure targets, right? If they were coming for us.
Yes, unless it is. It depends how hard, mate, they want to go. If it's a bit like that war game scenario,
Yeah.
then yes, it would be like you say, correct. But if they want to go hit us with a 10, everything would be fair game, wouldn't it? But like you say, mate, if it was conventional, then yes, it would be military and strategic targets first.
Yeah. So the knock-on effects is generally goes to our core of prepping. So, Andy, what's your water strategy? That's a very vague question. But beyond basic storage of bottled waters, what are the most reliable long-term methods for purification, for actually gathering it? What's your plan around water? Because water's one of the key things.
Yeah. So I have got, other than my stored water, mate, I have got water butts that collect off the rainwater off the guttering.
Yeah.
I've got 4 of them. I've also got something that's not set up now, but the infrastructure's there to use some of my taps to gather rainwater.
Yeah.
So that's another option. I've also got, mate, 2. It's probably a stream at the minute, but during the winter it is actually a river due to the rainfall thing. So I've got 2. I've got a stream and a river nearby, and then off the back of that, mate, I've got various types of the water filters, mate. I've got the Sawyers, I've got the Berkey, I've got the go on.
Have you recce'd them rivers to see what's upstream, what could possibly contaminate it coming down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's nothing off. If we're just talking normal SHDF, there's nothing that would contaminate it. That being said, I would go as close to the source as possible to make sure there's nothing contaminated. But then, like I say, mate, once I got that stuff home, I've got 4 or 5 different ways to filter it, make it safe. I've got the water purification tablets. Like I say, I've got the water filters. I've got the Sawyers. I've got the Berkeys. The bleach at a push. Boil it. So
boil it is the best thing, guys. Just to throw that out there.
That's what I would do, mate. I mean, even if you're worried, mate, what I would do is just put the pots and pans in the backyard to collect rainwater. There's always ways, mate. You'll always get imaginative when you're stuck somewhere. Like I said, even if you have to even if you just had like a large plastic sheet, it doesn't have to be a tap. It just has to be something that can hold water.
Yeah, and anybody that does have them and stocks them, because they're dirt cheap and you can get them 10 for a penny these days, especially from surplus stores. The tablets Andy's on about, if you've got the military ones, Andy, it's 1.5 litres per tablet, I believe. Is that still right?
Yeah.
If you've never used them, use a couple in peace times, something like that. Yeah, Or you can get a liquid form.
Taste.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Taste. You can get another tablet that eliminates the taste. But just try it. If it hits the fan and it's about staying alive, you're not going to be bothered. But get used to it now. If that's your main plan to
this
purify.
brand Micro Pure claims that it has no taste. It has a taste.
I agree with Alan.
It tastes like a bloody swimming pool, is what it tastes like.
Yeah. And somebody once told me that Screech tastes like orange. I don't believe them either.
Hey, don't be slagging Screech off.
It's horrible, mate. It's horrible. It ruined my water. Alan, what's your water strategy?
Do you know, I've got sort of very minor amounts of water stored away in the downstairs cupboard. I have been looking at water butts recently. The problem with my house is I've got metal gutters. So I can't actually fit the adapter to the metal gutters. And my shed is a little bit dodgy for attaching gutters, so I'm trying to work something out around that. But like Andy says, I'm aware of my local streams, water sources. I roughly know where the source of them are, although they do run through farms, which there's some cross-contamination going on there, so they're not exactly crystal clear, but they are relatively okay. And I've got things like water purifiers like this Grail, which isn't exactly something you would use for a whole family household, but I've got enough. I've got a spare filter in this that would see me through a couple of months at least. And if I use this in combination with boiling, I would probably make do. The beauty of rain in the UK is it's relatively abundant, especially in Scotland. And as long as we weren't talking about radioactive contamination, it's quite easy to collect rainwater just by, like Andy says, just put bloody pots and pans in the garden, put something, a paddling pool out in the garden. You'll get enough water to get through the day. You would have to obviously ration everything to the extreme, though.
Yeah.
So
there's a little tool you can get as well to check the purity of your water. It costs next to nothing. It's on Amazon. It's worth having if you're worried about the contamination in any sort of water. After you've run it through your filters, you can just check it. It's not a foolproof system, but it will just give you a bit more peace of mind with stuff like that.
you can also use bleach to purify water. I can't remember the exact dosage, but
You can. Somebody mentioned. So Band again said 5 drops of 5% bleach per litre of water. I remember 2 drops per litre. So just make sure anything we're saying, please look it up, do your own research. And that's literally last resort, right?
Make sure it's pure bleach as well, not the scented stuff.
If I had nothing else, it would go through the water would go through a t-shirt or a shamag, straight into a metal pot and boiled. That's what I would do if I had no other method. Okay, so just bear that in mind. Boiling is the best thing. You are using up fuel, but still, if it's a fire outside, it's not an issue, right? Ben, what's your water strategy?
So far, the kids' paddling pool. And literally a lot of MacGyvering with a hose pipe and then attaching it to a filter, to an old Brixton filter.
Right. Sounds very clampert. What kind of capacity is that, though? Are we talking paddling pool 3-ring job? Or are we talking paddling pool 12-foot Olympic?
No, 3-ring from Asda.
Right.
Did you expect anything else, mate, looking at that desk?
He has 100 cans of Monster stored away.
Don't give
What about stored water then? Because I just, without critiquing, we're not jumping on anyone's back here, that doesn't sound like enough for a family to me.
We've already got jerry cans filled up. We got 200 litres set aside, so that works out at 50 litres each.
Okay. Right, and what about water sources nearby?
We're screwed.
Really?
There ain't many.
In Wales?
Where we are, I know, but no, where we are, because we're so close to the town centre, there ain't anything that good around us that isn't going to be spoken for already. But the nearest one I can get to, and I have staked out a couple of times, is about a half-mile away. So
that's not far, really. Half a mile.
Not really, but in the grand scheme of things, especially with Mrs. and the kids, trying to stay in is our best. But if I had to stake out, there's one about half a mile away.
It is actually sometimes worthwhile looking at the water table in your local area. You'd be amazed that there are some places in the UK you only need to dig down 2 feet and you're on the water table, and that water's clean to drink.
Yeah,
might taste like crap, but it's actually you can actually drink it straight from there. It would just taste terrible.
Yeah,
no worries.
We all know Brian's answer if he was here. He's not got a water plan; he's got a Pepsi plan.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's fine. Food is obviously the next one. It's all based around the core of prepping. If it is World War III, whether it is on our doorstep, whether it's on the eastern flank, or whether it's anywhere else, 50% of what's on our plate in this country, on average, is imported. As other countries start to struggle, their imports will drop, and they will need that in-house. So we're going to see shortages, empty shelves very quickly as a knock-on effect. So food prepping is obviously key. Alan, I'll come to you first because you weren't a prepper.
Yep.
Now, with that in mind, you didn't have massive stockpiles of food. Is that changed with this kind of mindset that you know this? Especially, 50% is a figure that I'm pulling from last year. How quickly this government is killing off our farming industry, that could soon be 80%.
Yeah, it's still the case that I don't have large caches of food in my house. I do have more now than maybe even the last time that we spoke, because I'm starting to become a little bit more into the mindset of, I'm hanging around with preppers far too much, and I'm starting to get the bug of
He's getting the bug.
buying a little bit more than I probably need. If I knew war was imminent, no, I would stock up on things that I know historically were rationed. So flour, rice, sugar, salt. Those are the fundamental things that I know I need, because that's the kind of stuff that's going to be rationed. I'd probably stock up on other things like chocolate and stuff as well, which sounds ridiculous, but it actually goes a long way, and it's quite sugar rich, and it lasts a long time, has a long
It's
shelf life.
not ridiculous. I stock up on bourbon biscuits because I know that's a morale booster for my entire family. If it hits the fan and the kids are if they can get a biscuit, they'll be happy.
Yeah, and anything you can fortify food with. So things like peanut butter, olive oil, flour, rice, like I say, pasta to some extent. You can fortify foods with this. So if we did end up in a rationing situation, which in a conventional war we absolutely would, because the UK is well beyond its carrying capacity for producing its own food. I don't think anybody ate a banana for about 10 years during World War II. I don't think they even knew what it was. Forget about those kind of things. You would be in sort of, full on, here's your mutton for the day, add some rice and flour to bulk it up type mode. And those are the things that would be super. You think olive oil is expensive now? I tell you, if we were in a wartime situation, that would be...
It'd be non-existent.
It would be like gold. It would be like pure gold.
Yeah, it'd be non-existent. But yeah, it's definitely it's one of the main things when we're prepping. Ben, you're restricted on space, I believe, because you're in an apartment rather than an actual house and stuff like that. So when it comes to stockpiling food for the potential shortages, what kind of period are you looking at, and what kind of stuff are you stockpiling?
Pretty much the same as Alan. We're doing the same. Flour, anything we can make bread with, anything we can make long-lasting foods with. We've got our own little bug-in box that Mrs. RP patterned a name on. So we've got boxes that we're setting aside that's got tins in, that's got some packets of rice. What else we got in our bug-in box? Our pastas, yeah.
Is it organised, Ben, or is it like that desk?
Oh no, it's better than the desk. I can promise that.
He gets something between his teeth, Andy. He's like this at the meets as well. He gets something between. He'll never let it go. He still mentions charged up batteries to me. All right, so this is forever now, Ben. Just so you know, this is forever.
Oh, I'm fine with it. I'm totally fine with it. Trust me, you should see it on a proper work day. It's worse.
I'm not saying anything. I've angled my camera perfectly so you can't see the mess behind me.
But yeah, so we got our pastas and everything in that. So we're sort of planning like 3 months worth of supplies in a bug-in box.
Okay.
So at least we've got something set aside. But also we do freeze a lot. So we do long batches. So if we're doing stews or soups, we freeze it.
Yeah. So I've got 15 portions of stew to get through right now myself.
I think I've got about 6.
3 months. 3 months. It's a cracking supply. It's a lot of preppers would be ambitious to get to that level, especially in limited space. So you've done really well there.
It's all thanks to you guys. More recent, especially getting on more of these firesides. That's why we've prepped a bit more, because you've enlightened us to things that I've generally forgot about because I focused more on the kids.
Well, you're welcome, Ben. You can donate via PayPal or Super Dad. Andy, food supplies. You're a squaddy. You've obviously got 100 MREs and nothing else, right?
I'll tell you. I've got not mate. So mine is a mixture between the three. So it's tins, it is freeze dried, and it's ration packs as well. Within the tins, mate, I like. I know it's not true, but within the tins, mate, I have the vacuum seal stuff that I've done as well. That I include with the tins. So the rice, the pastas, that type of stuff. I always say that because it's all together. So that is included with my tins, and then separately I've got the ration packs, and separately I've got the freeze dried stuff. So I've probably got 6 months, mate, to be fair.
Yeah, interesting that you mentioned that, because it's a good topic. With that, you've got wet rations, right? You've got tinned food, and you've got freeze dried, and I assume you're going to consume in that order as well. So wet rations first, tinned food because it lasts a bit longer, freeze dried is your last, or is it just a case of a bit of everything can just to make meals?
To be fair, mate, that, and I know I'm in the minority with this because I've had ration packs that far out of date. They aren't too dissimilar to tins for me.
Don't have the tuna. Yeah. 10 years
I mean, to be fair, mate, I've got nothing. So with the wrap packs themselves, mate, I don't have anything like that. I purely just got the wet meals. So
Yeah.
obviously the breakfasts and the dinners, and then obviously the desserts. And with them, they're all separated out, and they're in storage boxes in between the rafters. So I've got obviously all like the nutty stuff separated, all like the boiled sweets, the nutty bars and stuff. And obviously I've got the 3 types of meals separated, and then your favorite, all the screech powders and stuff. And then, like I say, mate, I've got the tins.
For your enemies.
Yeah, throw it at them. Throw it at them, throw them in the face, cut the skin off. And yeah, so like I said, then I've got the tins and the vacuum sealed stuff, and then I've got the freeze dried stuff. To be fair, mate, the freeze dried stuff would probably be the last to go. As you said, that would be the last thing to use. Or ideally, if I had to leave the house for a couple of days or whatever, it would be the freeze dried stuff that would go purely for weight.
Yeah. So I've got a similar setup to Andy, where I've got kind of all 3 categories covered. My wet rations generally are based around if I had to get out. For bug out, it's the happy medium between not carrying tins but carrying decent meals and not just freeze dried. So they're kind of packed separately in case I had to get out of Dodge. But other than that, yeah, it's. I mean, my tins are low at the moment because I've been actually living off them. But having that range across them is really good. Any long term, I'm going to do a video on long term storage foods soon anyway. But there is loads of options out there. Food covered. Power and communication. Alan, what's the most robust non-internet dependent communication methods for receiving information, and what reliable off-grid power solutions are best for long-term use? Is the general question. So if it's a wartime scenario, there's some communications are going to be restricted, some are going to be limited, some are just not going to have a signal. What's your comms plan and backup power plan?
Do you know, my comms plan has been the focus of my interest over the past couple of weeks, because I, to this point, haven't had much of a comms plan. I'm not part of Meshtastic, I don't have radios, I don't have a CB or anything like that. So if the internet goes down for me, if the cell towers go down for me, I'm back to the old-fashioned, walking to the next place and asking the question, what the hell's going on? I do have a small emergency radio, but it's terrible. And just today, I was pricing up some of the better ones for about £39 on Amazon. You can get a really good sort of hand cranked radio and things like that. I'm looking into Meshtastic as a little bit now as well. I'm thinking about setting that up in the loft and relaying it down into this room that I'm in just now. This is an upstairs spare bedroom, and I'm putting in place an idea, a plan at least, where I can communicate with other people, at least in my zone. I remember speaking to Brian about this a while ago, and Hawkins, who's obviously a bit of an expert in this sort of area. So yeah, it's something I'm weak on it, to be honest.
Because he's an engineer.
Yeah, well, I'm weak in this on the prepper side of things. This is one of my areas where I'm the weakest, and I'm trying to address that now by educating myself as much as possible, because as from a survivalist point of view, communication is really always just a case of what's happening right now. I don't need to know anything outside my own perimeter, because it's a very lone wolf type way of thinking, which I don't think is the most helpful way of thinking. You have to expand out as much as possible. There's lots of things I'm doing just now to see what's going on in the world, to try and get as much unbiased information as possible. But if the grid genuinely goes down, I would be in a little bit of a bad place. When it comes to power as well, I'm also, again, a little bit behind with this. I don't have a big power bank. I've just got the basic stuff, power bricks that I use for phones. I go motorbike touring, and I have 2 or 3 that I can charge up that way. I'm looking at the smaller power banks like the River Free, which allows me to be off grid in a tent for a few days with a basic solar panel. I've got some folding solar panels behind me that will just charge a phone, for example. And then I'll upgrade to the better stuff that sort of Brian goes on about when I have the money. It's for me, it's a cost thing. If I had an unlimited amount of money, I would buy bloody everything. But I have to pace myself out.
100%. Nobody's sat on a throne of power banks like Brian, so don't worry. Andy, communications. Obviously, you love talking about it after Alan just said Hawkins is the expert on it. And power banks. You got the power bank bug from Brian as well, didn't you? So what's your situation there?
I did, mate. Yeah, I got the C300 which is just up there. And I also got the 100-watt solar panel from Renogy, which is brilliant piece of kit to power it. That is the only thing that I have, and that is purely to recharge things like torches, batteries, mobile phone. On my comms plan. There you go.
That's all I have currently from a solar point of view. Just it's
so
very small.
I'm similar to Alan, mate. The only thing I've got is that 100-watt one, which isn't portable, mate, in the slightest. It's purely for the garden. But it does a great job, mate. And you can charge directly off that as well via USB lead, which is a big bonus. Other than that, mate, I'm with Alan. I really don't have a comms plan. I'm still waiting for Hawkins to do it all for me, because he loves me that much. I'm waiting for him to sort it all out for me, which is why I'm still waiting. I have no comms plan. I do have, mate. I do have a Bowfang radio with several aerials. So if SHTF happened, I would turn it on and I would use it. I know how to use it and all those types of things, mate, but I don't have any. I'm like Alan, mate. I've got no mesh tastic. I've got no comms plan. I don't have anything like that in place.
This is the best thing about networking like this, right? Because you can pick on other people's resources, other people's expertise. Rather than lone wolfing it.
You can pick up, see a couple of these. I was just talking about the power banks, these little Triptronic things. They're pretty inexpensive. I mean, I think I paid like 10 quid or something like that, and it charges your phone 8 times. And this that little solar panel I said back there, it takes all day, but it does eventually charge it. So that's at a very, very minimum. I think that's the child level sort of beginner level type stuff.
To be fair, mate, I've got quite a few of those. Like what Alan says, I've got those power banks of various sizes, and that's the power like USB lights, that type of thing. So I've probably got double digits of them, but the only like real dedicated SHTF power bank I've got is that C300 up there with the folding solar panel. Yeah.
Cool. I'll come to you in a second, Ben, on yours, but Ration Nerd in the house had to give him a mention there. UKUP rocks out with a big British cock out. Much love from the nerd herd over at Ration Nerdland. Anyone who doesn't know Ration Nerd reviews rations from all over the world. Absolutely awesome guys. Been on the Fireside a few times. They're pretty much about a year ago, this channel wouldn't have existed if it wasn't for his generous donation and him helping me out. So thank him for me still being here. So if you want to thank him or say, why did you do that? Then he's there for you to do so. But go and check out his channel. It's growing massively fast, very quick, and it's funny. It's not PC, and it's right up our street. So thank you, Ration Nerd. You are awesome. And followed it up with 10 gifted memberships for UK Urban Prepper. Thank you very much. Really do appreciate it. Ben, you are holding things up, really excited to get involved in this conversation during everyone's bit there. You were waving things to us. Tell us your comms plan.
I'm now officially sort of set up with Meshtastic. Hawkins has been, like Alan said, an absolute gem when it comes to Meshtastic. And so has Cal. TPS Cal, I got to mention. Absolute awesome guy. Helped me a lot with the questions I had. And Mike as well. Thanks for setting me up with the Wise Mesh V2, I think, correct?
Yeah.
So, yeah, guys, I'm all set, really, as in comms. The Mrs. RP's got her own Baofeng. I've got mine. As you know, in the Discord, I've had an issue. So, it's out of warranty, and the charging dock's completely screwed, and the battery won't charge. But someone said to have a look at sort of injecting like 5 volts into it, just to sort of bring it up. Sort of from completely dead, and then try it again with a universal one I've got. So, but comms all sorted our end with Meshtastic and that.
Excellent. And power?
Thanks, Pete.
And power?
And power, we're good. We got, like I said in the no, it wasn't a Fireside. It was an open mic, I believe. We got our Delta 2 tucked away and solar panel out the back, so we're good there. That's all we can really afford at the minute, but we're good there.
Yeah. He's probably got a substation, mate, underneath all that shite on that desk.
You wait till I see you at the next meetup, right?
You'll have to get over that desk first.
I got to find something to rip on Andy for next.
You've got plenty of time to think about it. The next meetup is the Scottish meet, which there's still tickets for. Go and check that out
Get yours
if you
now.
haven't already. So I've got loads of stuff to flog to you guys. Crappy t-shirts, crappy hoodies, crappy books. It's just going to be constantly flogging, grifting now. So that's what you're getting. As Brian would say, none of it's crappy. I was only joking. Right, food, power, communications. One of the key things when it comes to any sort of military conflict and any sort of at-home knock-on effects is always going to be medical and medical supplies and stuff like that, and triaging. Andy, we'll come to you first because you look really distracted, so I want to throw it at you. Just leave that OnlyFans alone, Andy. Leave it alone. Medical supplies. What's your situation? What have you taken back from military experience to civil life around medical supplies, if anything?
To be fair, mate, all of my I was a team medic when I was in Afghan. All of my stuff, mate, and I say to everybody who always asks me, mate, anything about medical advice from my point of view, all of the stuff, mate, I learned was life saving. And that was really what it says in the tin, was to save someone's life. I was never like a paramedic, mate, who look at quality of life and they stabilize the neck and do all this stuff. That was never, it was taught to me, but that was never the process. If I came across someone, mate, who'd lost his leg, the last thing I was doing was focusing on securing his head and his spine. It was to stop the bleed. So all the stuff I've learned, mate, is purely life saving, not quality of life type of stuff. So all the stuff I do have, mate, I've got like, whether I would need it, mate, I very much doubt it, but you never know, do you? So I've got stuff like the old, they were called Asherman chest seals. Don't think they're called that anymore. And that's if you have a sucking chest wound. I've got Celox cores, I've got blowout kits, I've got quick clot, I've got tourniquets. So like say, mate, all the stuff that I have is for that type of
triage,
type
like trauma. Yeah,
trauma stuff, mate, basically, yeah. I don't have anything like in my preps, I don't have anything like, those big pelvis splints or things like that. I've got nothing like that. All my stuff, mate, is purely stuff. And the reason why I have that as well, guys, is not like it's nothing else other to do with the fact of that's what I was trained on. That's what I know how to use. I don't know how to use those big pelvis splints. If I did, I would have one. If I did any other course that give me that, I would have it. I don't have that training. Is it a gap in my knowledge? Massively so, and I should get training on that, mate. Do you know what I mean? But that's where my medical side is. It's stuff that I was trained to use, stuff that I know how to use, and more importantly, mate,
what you know.
And more importantly, mate, it's stuff that I'm confident with using. Do you know what I mean? Like I know exactly where to apply a tourniquet. I know exactly how to apply it. I know how to use the all the stuff I have, mate. I know how to use. I'm confident in using. And also, mate, I have the boo kit stuff, plasters, steri strips. Do you know what I mean? All like the bog standard stuff you would use on a day-to-day basis. Yeah.
I'll come back to you as well, Andy, on medical in a second. Alan, what kind of stuff? Ethan, sorry, quick answer to your question. Yes, there's even a little play area off to the side, and they've got 2 beautiful shore sheep that you can go and pet and stuff like that. It's very, very kid-friendly place. Alan, medical supplies. I assume doing what you do rather than prepping, it was still a big priority when it comes to survivalists.
So I've got 3, I suppose, 3 different kinds of medical kits. One of them being the household medical kit, like what Andy was saying. It's kind of like the boo kit. It's the basic stuff, kid scrapes his knee, all that kind of stuff, paracetamol, the usual stuff that you would have in there, eye wash, all that kind of stuff. I've also got a very, very small kit, a very, very small first aid kit that I take on camping trips and long journeys with me. It might sound kind of shocking to hear this, but in the world of survival, first aid kits are one of the most overrated things you can possibly have. I see people with huge first aid kits going out into the wild all the time. You really don't need that. In fact, my wilderness survival kit pretty much consists of duct tape and cotton and not much else, actually. You really don't need a lot in that kind of scenario. Saying that, however, I'm also a hunter and I have an IFAC kit. So I also have a kit which is very similar to what you would have if you were a combat soldier. It has tourniquets, it has chest seals, it has Israeli bandages. The only reason I carry that when I go hunting is purely in case there's an accident that somebody else is involved in, purely an accident. I'm not going to give myself a chest seal, but I do sometimes hunt with other people. I hunt in land, that has other people on it and things like that. So I carry that with me anyway, and I know how to use that stuff. I also keep my first aid knowledge up to date at work. Every year I do a first aid course, which prepares me for the up to date sort of ambulance type, how to do, chest compressions, stuff like that, just to keep myself on top of that. I've never had to use it. I've never done it. It's just one of those things, but I think it's important enough to sort of understand and know basic first aid. I'm also looking to get some antibiotics as well, based on some of Brian's advice, which is another prepper thing.
Oh, you mean you're preparing to go on a round the world sailing holiday?
Yeah. I'm going on a sailing holiday.
Excellent. Yeah. Excellent.
So I'm looking to get a first aid kit for that.
Yeah. Comes in handy, especially when you know any doctors. We can't give you any advice. Ben, first aid. Where do you stand?
Covered. We've got a backpack. We've got a first aid responders backpack. So we got this back last month off Amazon for just over 50 quid.
Please put a short link in, not a giant.
Well, I can't put a short one. It's only one that comes up when I copy it off Amazon, off the basket. But yeah, so we've got ourselves a tidy little backpack because, well, to be honest, Mrs. RP's always, since she's been in the NHS and come out, she was like, I need something that shows I did that kind of work. And I was like, well, why? And she went, because the backpacks have everything you need. Instead of going out to like Aldi or Lidl and going, oh, do we need a bandage? Are we sure? And if we can't remember, it's like, just get a backpack off Amazon, one that's pre-kitted, and then just add to that, because we can go through the entire list.
Yeah, as a benchmark,
yeah. I think breaks, burns, and bleeds. That's really the only things you need to pay attention to.
Pretty much what we focus on.
Anything after that, you need to be sort of a bit more medical. Professional.
Well, I mean, this is what I'd say as well. I mean, you could buy all the first aid gear in the world, but what Andy's done is gone down the track he knows and he's educated on. Yeah. And that's what a lot of people miss out. They think that they've got it all, and they've got a lovely survival medicine handbook up here that when the missus is on the floor because she's chopped her wrist off trying to cut some wood, you're going to sit there reading your book and figure out the best way to do what. And yeah, she's going very white very quickly.
Putting the tourniquet on the neck.
Yeah, yes. It's little things that people think, a tourniquet, I know what that is. I can easily do that. And then they'll go and put it on a lower arm, which it's not for. It's got to be a single bone. Yeah. And there's different things. You can do a lot of damage doing medical stuff wrong, right? Andy, is it still the case in the forces where the individual first aid kit, like Alan was talking about, is for the person it's on? So if you go to somebody to treat them, you're using their kit, right?
The only thing, mate, that was set up for... yes and no. So when I was sitting there, mate, you had 2 morphine pens, and those morphine pens were to use on other people. They weren't using yourself. So if you ran over to someone and you did whatever you need to do, you pull a morphine pen out, then you would inject them with your morphine pen. So that was set up. You also had in your top left, your back pocket, you would have a tourniquet set up, a one-handed system to use on yourself. Yeah. So everything that in my purview, mate, because obviously I was team medic, what I had on me was for use on other people.
Yeah.
When we were out there, mate, you had very little on. To be fair, mate, because the main threat over there was IEDs when I was there, everyone just looked like a walking tourniquet because you had them everywhere, mate, because that was the main prevalent threat where you were going to lose a leg or an arm.
Yeah.
So you would predominantly, mate, when you went out, I didn't leave the wire once I got to my fob, but the lads who did would have tourniquets, like Alan was saying, Israeli bandages, Celox gauze, quick clot. Everything was designed, mate, to keep to plug you, for effectively, for want of a better word, and then to get the helicopters in within the hour they called the golden hour. If it could get you back to Bastion within an hour, you had something immense, mate, like something crazy, like a 70% chance 80% chance you were going to live. So the main... Go on, Al.
So I was just going to say, see, just because we're talking about tourniquets, if guys are listening to this, buy proper tourniquets. I got mine from St. John's Ambulance and it was like 40 quid, right? They're bloody expensive. See the ones on Amazon that are 30 pence, couple of quid. I don't know what they are. I don't know why they're so cheap, but just of all the things you can have, a tourniquet, buy the good one. And they cost like 30, 40 quid.
So yeah, so that's what lads would have on them mainly when they would leave.
Yeah.
Obviously, when you're a team medic, I would have a little bit more stuff, and then obviously when you were a proper medic, like you were a combat medic, that was your role. You would have like a full medical bergen full of all kinds of gnarly stuff to save people's lives.
Yeah, my friend was a combat medic in Afghan.
Yeah,
and worst case of PTSD I've ever seen.
I'm not surprised. To be fair, mate, those combat medics were the boys as well. They knew their shit, mate. If you were hit and you wanted someone to save your life, it would be them guys. They were the bollocks.
Yeah. With that in mind, people who have not had training, not served, nothing like that, free courses are everywhere. Workplaces offer free first aid courses. It might be very basic level. You can get more advanced courses. Don't just buy a load of kit, stick it in a cupboard, because you don't want to learn how to use this stuff when you need to use it. And like Alan says, the one thing you don't want to cheap out on is your health and your life. All right. If you want to save a couple of quid and get the cheap version from Temu, that's fair play. If that fails in a critical moment, it wasn't really worth the 10, 20, 30 pound saving. Some stuff like plasters, boo-boo kits, like Andy says, you can get that cheap because it is what it is. It's, may as well get cheap supplies. Bandage is bandage, material is material. You can get cheap stuff like that from Temu and Amazon and places like that. When it comes to actual equipment, like the tourniquets, like the Israeli bandages, pay for quality and don't take the risk would be my advice on top of that, just to build upon what you said, Alan, there, because it is good advice. So, yeah. The last thing before we go on to current events, as Andy wants to touch on, 188 people in here, by the way. That's awesome. Make sure you hit like, make sure you go and check out all of these guys' channels and subscribe to them as well. Security and defense. Now, I'm not saying what weapons have you got, guys, and how are you going to shoot marauders. We are obviously talking about a wartime situation. Andy, security and defense when you're not there, because you're conscripted, whatever. That's always going to be a concern, right? Leaving any sort of family behind, whether that's just a missus or whether that's a whole family. Have you took that in mind? Have you put anything in place for that, or is it purely based around numbers and deterrence?
Yeah, I think I've already got pre-cut boards made in the garage to secure all the windows and the doors, etc., which I could do before I left. I've also got other things set up in the house on the entry points. Mm-hmm. If anybody would like one for, put that up in the prep of me, and I'll happily talk to you about it.
Yeah,
and
that's the benefit of the meats, right? We're not
100%, mate. Yeah, 100%. You can come to the prep meat, mate. Ask me whatever you want, and I'll answer whatever you want. So everything that could be done to make the house secure, mate, before I left, I would do. And then other things that would need to be discussed, would be discussed, obviously between me and my partner. But yes, I've got stuff pre-cut, mate. Everything I could do to secure the house before I left, I would do.
Yeah. Alan, is the missus doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well? Could she fend off any nasties? What's the plan with defense and security when you're not there?
I've tried to get her into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and she almost attended a class, but then lost all interest in it immediately. I think she viewed it on screen and thought, I'm not doing that. That just looks weird. But yeah, I mean, from a defense point of view, it just comes down to sort of home security. So I've got the basic stuff. I've got cameras. I've got the little signs in the doors and things like that. I've did as much as I can to secure my own perimeter, as it were, as best I can. We have got a bit of a routine in place for locking doors and stuff like that. If we were in a situation where people in the UK were actually physically at risk from, let's say it was bombing like World War II, I'd go down the road that Andy was talking about having pre-cut boards and things, or if I thought that was an issue, I would maybe also look at having like better deadlock systems put in place. I think you showed us, Mike, before, the things you can jam under the door and all that kind of stuff. I'd maybe invest in some stuff like that, just on the off chance that if I'm not there and people got a bit desperate, that those things would help. But I mean, anything other than that, if we were talking about sort of mainland UK being invaded, then I would imagine the government would start arming its population, and there would be things put in place like a home guard, service that would come into play in that as well. I mean, I've pointed out before, I'm a hunter. I'm not going to pretend that I don't have weapons in my house. I do, but they're not weapons like that. They're hunting tools, and they don't really function the way that a military would use them. So, although you
wouldn't want anyone inexperienced and untrained using them in your absence.
Yeah, I should also point out that I'm the only person that currently has access to that by law. But you know, I mean, if I was here, then you could adapt anything to defend yourself, I suppose.
Yeah. Bob942 in the house. Vinyl sheets on your window glass. Great security film that you can get very cheap. And if anything, just protects shattering glass coming in. Bob942 also has a channel. He's one of our cousins from across the ocean. He has some great prepping tips and advice and does some great live chats as well. So make sure you go and check out his channel. Lots of stuff you can take and adapt over here. Trust me, Bob has made me buy more things off Amazon than anybody else on YouTube. So there you go. Go and check out Bob's channel. Ben, so you said Mrs. RP is as much a prepper as you.
Yep.
But if you're not there, if you're conscripted, what's the concerns and what do you have in place for security and defence? Obviously, you don't have to tell us your personal things, but what are ideas for stuff like that?
Tidy the house on that desk.
He pushes that desk in front of the entrance and then never getting in.
First off, she'll open up a drawer and there'll be a little note inside saying, before you take care of the kids, just give this to Andy from me. And it'll be a clip across the back of the head and it'll say, thanks for the mention of the desk. But no, in all honesty, if I got conscripted, Mrs. RP, she's always said, the kids, even over me, the kids come first. So she can do basic hand-to-hand, she can do martial arts. We don't really go down the route of having weapons because, to be honest, I don't see that being a realistic value in a sense. Not like having, like a knife or something in the house like you would have in your kitchen. You know, that's as far as we would go. And airsoft, because, like, in a way, we don't really want to be shooting somebody and killing them. We just, if someone breaks in, we want some form of a self-defense. Well, airsoft. So we use our airsoft guns because, to be honest, you can certain ones amp up, not AEG, but I won't go into the if buts or maybes on that. That's a big rabbit hole. But she said she'll put the kids first, and because our children, bar our eldest, has special needs, that's also a massive factor. So she's more in tune, as she would say, with her paternal instincts more than her sort of like marriage commitments, because if anyone's intruding and I'm not here, she'll go into an immediate fight rather than flight mode.
Yeah. Cool. I will put a point across there on the airsoft. Obviously, everyone's opinions on here is their personal opinions, and, you know, take everything with a pinch of salt. We might be telling you advice that we don't even do ourselves. So do your own research on stuff like that. What I will say about airsoft is airsoft guns are replica imitation firearms, right? They look like real guns, especially from a distance. If you decide to use that in some sort of defense situation, even after rule of law is gone, you could be inviting somebody who has the non-airsoft version of a similar sort of thing to come for you. Yeah. Okay? So just be careful with stuff like that. You don't want to be waving around something that looks like a gun that's not a gun, because people with guns might see you, and yeah.
And I will state it very quick. The only reason me and Mrs. RP have them is because before we had children, we actually went into airsoft and wanted.
I love it as a hobby, and for fitness and for tactics, it's absolutely great. Yeah, go and do it as a hobby.
And I made mention of it for the chat. So,
will they conscript a 52-year-old in a wheelchair? If things get bad enough, they will conscript anything with a pulse. It's just look at Ukraine as an example. But no, you'll probably be put into some. Conscription is not always necessarily frontline work. You could be in a factory making shells. You could be doing anything like that. But yeah, nobody's safe from Starmer. We're going to go to the questions very quick that I've starred through, guys. If you're all right, if anybody has to leave at any point, feel free to now. The main topic is kind of covered on that. We are going to talk about some current events that Andy wants to talk about as well after this, so don't go anywhere, but we're going to go through your questions now. Elusive Dartmoor Survival. If you have stashes, do you check them? I check mine once a year. I'll let you have that one, Alan, because you have stashes.
Yeah, it's roughly once a year as well. To be honest, I've only had mine for a little over a year now, really. I've had one for a couple of years, and the rest of them are updated all at once, and I did that over a period of just a weekend. And now I've checked on them sort of yearly. All the places where I have caches are places I camp anyway. So throughout the year, because I do so much outdoor camping, I spend at least one day in those places. And what I tend to do is I kind of dig down to the little place that I know it's there, just to make sure it's not filling with water or anything, and then I cover it back up again. I don't go through all the stuff, but I do have a plan that after 3 years, I'm going to replenish some of the stuff that's in there and upgrade the stuff as it goes on. And like anybody else, I buy stuff and then I buy more stuff, and then slowly but surely what I'll do is I'll just upgrade my caches based on, like, my old gear will then become the new gear for that type thing. You know, that's how I'll do it. So it's 1 year and 3 year cycles.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you very much for answering that question for me. Evil Girl, this one's specifically for you, Ben.
Oh.
What's with the shirt and tie?
Short answer. Just because it's time to actually start looking a bit more tidy rather than somebody who just sits around doing nothing. Mainly
I like it.
I like complained that my beard was getting too long and I needed to shave and look tidy. So I was like, anything for you, darling.
At least they noticed you, Ben. You know, I've had a clean shave and put some gunk in my hair. Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
That's the Lex Freeman approach. He always wears a full suit when he's on podcasts, just for sure.
You get more super chats when you have a shirt on. I've noticed this. So, Polonium, British shoulders held as Japanese POW, said that the thinner you were, the better you off in a long-term starvation scenarios. Overweight men suffered less in the short term, but died earlier. Yes, because that's conditioning, right? That's conditioning, and you're used to that kind of lesser thing. And overweight, generally, don't think I'm overweight so I can go without food for ages. You're just unhealthy. And if you eat unhealthy and you're still slim, then fuck you for one. And secondly, you could still have visceral fat around organs. People who eat takeaways all the time but don't gain any weight have the worst kind of weight because it's visceral fat, not fat stored on your body, and that is stored around your vital organs, and that can be more deadly than somebody that looks slightly overweight. Just throwing that out there. Random knowledge. Ethan, I've got to put that horrible sticker on my screen again. I'm going to have to get a blocker for that. Any tips for prepping for a fussy 2-year-old? Kid only eats raspberry, blueberries, sausage rolls, and cheese crackers. Right, I can answer this one. I'm in the same boat. So I've got 2 kids that were brought up exactly the same. 2 boys that were brought up exactly the same. One will eat absolutely anything. Whatever I'm eating, he'll eat as well. The other one, chicken nuggets. What I will say is kids are very adaptable. We don't let them adapt because we give in to them very quickly. I'm not judging anybody there. I do the same. But if it's what's available, when they're hungry enough, they will eat it and they will adapt. Unfortunately, kids are probably more adaptable than we are in a situation like that. So you'll find prep for what you eat in general and what's good for your body and nutrition. That will filter down to them. And then just top ups things. The good thing there, you've got raspberries and blueberries on there. So they are things that you can freeze dry, dehydrate, store, vacuum seal. You can store them, you can can them, jar them, stuff like that. You can use them as long-term storage, and you can grow them, of course, and pick them fresh. So you've got something there to fall back on as well. But generally, I would not worry too much about it. They are very adaptable.
Could I add one to that? You've also got great ingredients there to make jams to go on the crackers.
There you go.
So if you need to really mix them up in a pinch, just make a little bit of jam out of either one or both and put them on the crackers.
Yeah. Sorry if I didn't select your question. There's been loads of little ones and stuff like that, and I see there's plenty of people in the chat answering your questions and that. So I apologise. You know, it is what it is. There's too many people in the chat, and the starred comments and the super chats get prioritised. So tough. Andy, what did you want to talk about?
Oh yeah, mate. I seen there was some people in Discord, mate, who were on about people's imaginations, mate, are running wild with this Pete Hesketh over in America who'd called the admins and generals back. And people
the 800 general meeting or whatever.
Yeah. And people's people's minds were going through the roof with that. That mate is an extremely common thing that happens.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't get advertised.
Yeah.
So when I did my stint, I did a little stint as CO's driver because you have certain quals, mate. You have to be DV vetted and things because obviously the things you hear in that car and the meetings you're involved with, you have to be a certain level of vetting, and you have to be a certain type of person that those things don't leave the car or the room, for example. And there was many a times, mate, where that exact same thing has happened in the UK. And the reason why things like that happen, mate, is so when I was during my time, there was like 2 major defence reviews. Now, all of those brigadiers and generals go because they are deciding which regiments get disbanded, which ones get to stay on. And then also, mate, if your regiment is disbanded, you then have to coordinate with other brigadiers and other divisions where those troops are going. Because it's one thing, mate, saying that regiment's disbanded on a computer system and it's gone. But then you have to think where you're going to put those 4 battalions of lads. Where's all the kit and equipment going? Who's taking it? Because just because the regiment's gone doesn't mean the troops and equipment are. So when things like that happen, mate, it's usually to do with a big defence review. Now, I would imagine, mate, when Space Force, for example, was created, all the admins and generals would have been there for that.
Ridiculous.
I know it does, but that type of thing, mate, would have been done. And the way Trump works, you can very well see him, mate, saying to some of his staff, "Can't I just get rid of 3 of those units for X reason? Why would want to? I don't know." But the people losing their mind, you're only doing that because you've never heard of it before. But that happens quite a lot. It's not something to let your imagination run wild with.
So
you know what I mean? I would imagine if it...
Sorry, go on.
Go on.
I was just going to say, the thing that's different about it is, though, that they're doing it in person. They've never done that before. They've done it over video link before, and they use there's another system that they use to do it. They've never put 800 generals in one place before.
I can guarantee you, Al, that
sounds like a logistical nightmare.
That would have happened pre-COVID. I guarantee it would have, because it used to happen here. At some point, that would have happened. And to be fair, mate, I would imagine...
It may have done. I just went by. To be honest, it was CNN. I heard that on, but it was a 4-star general that said that in the US. He says that's never happened before.
You know what it is, mate? I wouldn't. Maybe I'm wrong, but I
imagine
the UK version, that's what happens over here.
I imagine in the US there'll be a lot of remote because of the vast distances. In the UK, everyone can get to one place, so I assume that's the only reason it's never been all in person, purely for travel purposes and stuff like that. But what Andy's saying plays into kind of what I said about it the other day on the live stream. Is I genuinely think, Andy, jump in if you think I'm wrong, we've never heard of it before because you don't hear about these things. The reason we're hearing about it now is the same reason he rebranded the Defence Department to the War Department. Yeah, it's theatrics. It's a form of psychological saber rattling, and it's making everyone think, "Oh my God, what's he doing?" And it's a way of him flexing, in a way. What do you think? Do you think that's kind of what it could be, Andy? Why would they release that information now if they've never done it before? Yeah,
true, mate. And the way Trump works, again, mate, it is from me from doing that job. It is a case of I am the commander in chief, and like Alan said, mate, if it's ever happened before, I can see Trump saying, "I'm commander in chief. You are going to do this. You are all going to be here because I said you're all going to be here." 100%, mate. I think that's in his wheelhouse. A show of power within the military, especially, mate, when you've got, because certain institutions, and the military is the same, mate. The divisive stuff has creeped into every single institution in both of our countries. I can 100%, mate, see him saying, or Pete Hesketh saying, "You are all coming here because we are in charge."
Mm-hmm. The general on CNN, the reason he says it never happens that way is, one, because it's incredibly expensive. You're talking about 800 people plus all their advisors who are actually in active war theaters across the world, including the South Pacific, going to one place, which is a logistical nightmare. And 2, it's just tactically
a huge security risk.
Yeah, it's tactically terrible. I mean, you could literally anything from a 4-star general up plus their advisors. If the Russians were going to nuke Washington, that would be the time to do it. It's
we don't.
The only pushback I would have on that, mate, if everybody knows, and if everybody who's served knows, generals and 4-star generals and admirals really don't do anything. So if they were taken out, it wouldn't be that much big of a deal, mate, on the ground situation. And you would have the 3-star who knows that would do the 4-star's job, would just instantly step up. The instant you start talking about money, they've got what? trillions of pounds that gets lost in the DoD's defense budget. Money, mate, is not a cost for the US military. If they want 800 generals there, it's a drop in the ocean for them. I understand why that general's saying that, because it can't be seen that we're just going to spunk all this money at the wall because Trump wants us all to meet in Washington,
it could be
whatever it was.
It could actually be a purge. That's the other hypothesis.
Yeah, 100%. It could be. Yeah,
they could literally just be sacking people left, right, and center. That could be, because that's another famous Trump thing to do. You're fired, get out type thing. You know.
And to be fair, mate, everybody who says it's a it's a tactical nightmare having all of the admirals and generals in one spot, who, mate, on this planet has the balls to do that? Because it's all good and well, mate, saying, right, they're all there now, let's hit them. You hit them, you've instantly got the 3 stars who step up, and now you've got what the biggest superpower in the world, military-wise, gunning for you. So is it really a tactical nightmare? Is anybody really going to hit them?
Only extremist groups that really don't care about the consequences, I think, would be the risk there, but the security will be through the roof, let's be fair. It's great what Andy's saying, because we've got new preppers in here, I believe, as well. I did notice Little Miss 25, she was asking a lot of questions, seems to be a new kind of prepper. I just want a message to you and anyone else that is new in here. What Andy's addressing is the fact that every other channel has jumped on this as, oh my God, this is happening. Be scared now. World War III is happening. Day X is incoming. We all know the channels we're talking about, all right? It's very easy as a new prepper to get sucked into them rabbit holes. And the fear porn becomes addictive. And I've been there myself, 100%. You can get really sucked into these channels. Prep for what you can control. You can't control what their decisions they make over there. You can't control who presses a big red button. You have a sphere of influence, and that is what you're prepping for. And prep for the most likely scenario first. Seriously, lots of the fear stuff that is out there, the fact that they've monetized it, they're wearing branded merch, and there's a sponsor halfway through the video, tells you it's not that urgent of an alert, because they wouldn't have had time to do all of that. All right, so please try not to get sucked down that rabbit hole. I have just put a little A4 13-page book out. If you're brand new to prepping, it's a good thing to pick up. It's only £2 on the store. If Miss Worm can link that, anyone new, it's a good starting point. But love that, Andy. Great point, because we need to counter the fear that's being put out there because of this. There was something else. Somebody else wanted to touch on something else, current events. What was at the start somebody mentioned? No.
Yeah, I agreed with Andy. When Andy mentioned about touching on the Pete Hegseth thing, that's why I pulled up a shared screen of it. They call in the meeting. What is it? Reportedly planning to speak to the military leaders about the warrior ethos.
Right.
It does sound like a very Trumpian thing to do, to be honest.
It does. Just reading it like that, it sounds all high and mighty, you know, roughly 900 1-star generals, admirals, and above required to attend. But like Andy said, it's not going to do much.
Pete is also famous for giving pep talks. He is quite well known for going into places and sort of giving pep talks and asserting his authority and all that kind of stuff. That's something he's kind of famous for if you follow American politics.
But no, I agree with.
Also, as well, guys, right? If there was anything really going on, and you wouldn't know about it.
Well, no, because they only just announced.
Hegseth and Trump, if there was something really going on, and that situation was something that we need to be worried about, you wouldn't know. It wouldn't be on CNN. They wouldn't want you knowing. The fact that you know means want people to know.
It's theatre. It's theatre.
Yeah,
it's
it could be. I mean, it probably is theatre, but it's hard to hide the movement of 800 generals. They can't hide that. And I suppose the kind of fear bandwagons that the other channels are going on, one, because it's not something that happens that often in person. There's already a system in place for, the big screens where everybody has a video link and all that kind of stuff. So they're jumping on the bandwagon of maybe that's compromised in some way by China or Russia to the point where they actually physically have to have these people in one place in a big safe room and an airtight sealed room in order to have a conversation with them. I don't know. All I've did is look at 2 reports, and granted, CNN is about as reliable as the BBC, and it's very, very left leaning, so it's very anti-Trump, very anti-Pete. I'm just going by what they say and what that general says.
I think that you could move 800. I think you could move 800 1-star generals within the blink of an eye with the US military, and no one would know.
Oh yeah, it's dead easy.
You could do it within, and nobody would know.
No, but
and to be fair, mate, no one's looking either. Nobody cares what one star general in the middle of the South Pacific getting flew to Washington DC. No one cares. The only reason they know is because Trump wants you to know.
But that's what I was going to touch on. Last week, they said at the White House, everything that the press gains access to has to go through the White House first now, more so than it has done, to make sure they're not releasing anything classified in a sense. So this was so top secret, and it was something really important, say war level, right? They wouldn't.
They just classified it as secret, which isn't actually like, it's not top secret. They just classified it as normal secret, which means the press kind of knows about it and things like that, which is an odd move in itself if it was such a big deal. But if you wanted to do it but not make a big deal about it, you would do that. I mean, this is the problem. You run yourself in circles without actually knowing the answer. You know, if nuclear war was going to start tomorrow, the president would probably still be booking, stadium visits and stuff for tomorrow as well to throw people off guard. You can fall into that fear-mongering rabbit hole.
This is 100%, and you've got to know what fear-mongering is. Newcastle Chronicle saying that NATO has advised all of us to prepare 72 hours. It hasn't been the standard advice for years. It has been the standard advice for years, but I wouldn't class this as fear-mongering because that's what we want. We want them to get the message of preparedness and prepping out there, okay? I don't see that as fear-mongering. I see that as great. Any media... I've done radio interviews. I've had, threats and stuff of emails afterwards for the case. But anything we can do to get the word of preparedness and people being prepared out there, I'm all for. You just don't have to manipulate publicly available data to suit your agenda of making people scared.
Yeah, you don't.
Like Andy said, if you're tracking them on like the airplane tracker and the ship tracker and stuff, if it was a major movement, transponders would be off. Simple as that. Yeah. If we will know something happens when it happens, if it's something like that. All right. So yeah, just try not to get sucked into the trap. There's nearly 200 people still in here. Before we go, Andy, quickly tell everyone about Shadows and Sightings and get them all over there to like and subscribe and all that stuff. Tell us about it.
Yeah, but so Shadows and Sightings is a channel that I created off the back of all the weird experiences I've had, some before the military, some during, and some after, including UFOs, shadow figures, ghosts, UFOs, and that's all that's over on Andy H Shadows and Sightings. I did some podcasts last week, and so they'll be up soon on other people's channels, but I'll link them on the Discord, and I'm doing a live next Wednesday as well. If anybody wants to jump on and talk about anything ghosty or paranormal or UFO related.
Shocking. Not invited me on the podcast. I've seen something before.
Have you? Hey, you can come on, Mike. You can come on. And then also off the back of that, I'm going to start doing some more stuff on the Bombardier channel as well.
Okay.
I thought it was. I went through a period, mate, where I started the other channel and I thought it's too saturated. The prep scene with military people, and then when I started looking into it, there isn't actually that many ex-military people who do prepping channels.
There's people that claim to be.
Yeah, there's people who claim to be, yeah. But there isn't actually that many ex-military guys who do it, so I've decided to start throwing some more stuff on the Bombardier channel as well.
What time's your live going to be on Wednesday, Andy?
7 o'clock on the other channel.
No worries, we'll pencil it in.
So go and check out both Andy's channels, worth subscribing to. His last point there about there not being many military prepping channels and stuff like that. The first people you come across if you search prepping on YouTube are usually these people we're talking about with the fear-mongering. You do have to dig down. Some of the smaller channels, some of the advice on Andy's channel, and what's your numbers on Bombardier at the moment, Andy?
266, mate, maybe.
260.
I think I've got a couple off tonight, so I think it might be
266 subscribers on Andy's channel, okay? My knowledge level's here. His knowledge level is up here, all right? He's the kind of person you want to be subscribing to, following along, and getting some questions in there and really following that advice. Don't be suckered in by all the big flashy thumbnails and stuff like that. Really search, find the good knowledge, because people like Andy is where it's at. Alan, tell us about the world's... Yeah, he's gonna. Yeah, don't give him any ammo to take the piss, right? Because it'll last forever. All right. Alan, tell us all about World Survivalist, please.
Yeah, I tell you what, I just came back from a 2-day camping trip in the Scottish mountains. That is not the place to listen to Andy's podcast about ghosts and all sorts. I was on my tarp by myself, and every little owl and noise, I was like, bloody hell, I need to listen to something else now. Talk about freaking yourself out. But
Excellent.
Yeah, I mean, the World Survivalist channel it's a more survivalist outdoor based channel. I put gear reviews on there, a lot of camping trips, things like that. I'm trying my hardest to do some more prep and stuff and put that on there as well. I've got some things scheduled that will come out in the next few weeks related to that kind of stuff as well. So it's more of an outdoory based type survivalist approach as opposed to prepper stuff.
Excellent. Go and check out Alan, the World Survivalist. You know he can survive anywhere in the world if he can handle the Scottish wilderness. Benjamin, the Renegade Preppers UK. Again, a relatively new channel. Tell us all about it, please.
Your typical everyday preppos just got started in a sense, and yeah, I've started adding music to the prepper channel because I like doing a bit of. I know it's AI, but I do like dabbling in a bit with AI music. So there's going to be music coming up on the channel, but mainly focusing around prepping when I get around to it. Joys of being a father of 3 kids.
Excellent. Yeah. No time for anything. And of course, if you're watching this on any one of these other 3 channels, I'm Mike, UK Urban Prepper. Generally, all different aspects of preparedness, cycle challenges, walking challenges. I like to do the fails that you don't have to. Things set on fire, things blow up in my face, things leak. And that's what my channel's all about. I will give you a bit of the news. I will do a bit of the clickbaity stuff because that's what we want to do to get the word of prepping out there. But over 800 and odd videos on my channel now, so feel free to scan through and leave some nasty comments on all of them. It seems to be a trend. But yeah, thank you to all of these guys for giving up their time. Miss Worm as well, our awesome chief moderator. She has a channel. You really need to go over and see that one. Show it some love. Subscribe to it. Miss Worm's channel is ghost stories, stuff like that. So when you're in the tarp at night and you've finished with Andy's podcast, you can really scare the bejesus out yourself, but with Miss Worm's soothing voice. Also, a published author, Miss Worm. Go and check out her book as well. You can find it on Amazon before it disappears off Amazon, so do it quickly. Go and have a search for that on Amazon and support the people that support us. Thanks very much, Andy. Final thoughts and goodbyes.
Yeah, guys, I've been on for a while, so it was good to get back tonight. Thanks for everybody who subbed, and if the DMs are always open, guys, on Discord. If you want any advice or if you want to talk about, if you read about something that's in the news, reference military stuff like what we spoke to about Trump, or you just want general advice on anything in moving forward. Yeah, DMs are open, and most importantly, don't trust engineers.
Yeah. I would love to see a series of videos on your channel, Andy, when something like this come out, just you doing the opposite thumbnail of all the clickbaiters to say debunked.
Oh, yeah, good idea, mate. Yeah, good idea.
That'd be awesome. Ben, final thoughts and goodbyes?
Yeah, my final thoughts on the matter is to say, basically, thank you to you guys for helping us get to where we are and helping us with our knowledge and increasing our pantry collection. Everyone out there, you know the dangers of the everyday world. Just keep your eyes vigilant and stay safe. And yeah, thanks everybody. We've got a premiere coming out later tonight of a song going up on the channel, so stay tuned for that. And Andy, thank you for saying your DMs are open. I need to talk to you about an experience that me and a friend shared. So
I didn't mean to. I meant for the chat.
Have you got any leeches for this?
I'll say it openly. I never believed in the paranormal. And my thoughts have been swayed. So
that desk was clean 10 minutes ago.
I've never been terrified till I saw your desk.
I know. Even Casper did it on
It'll never go, Ben. It'll never go.
Thanks, guys.
Final thoughts and goodbyes, Alan?
I would just say prepare for the stuff that you can actually control. Knowledge is key to all the stuff that's going on in the world, but you can't really do anything about it. Like Mike says, don't be taken in by the doom scrolling of the prepper channels and the survivalist channels.
Unless it's
telling you. they're telling you the world's ending tomorrow, that kind of stuff. You can't prepare for that kind of stuff, really. So be glass half full in this kind of stuff, because it's easy to get a bit depressed about it, I think. And spend some time outdoors. You know, it's like a lot of preppers don't spend a lot of time outdoors from what I can see. Go, give that a try, get into camping. Even if it's a campsite, give it a go. You know, no matter what your level of ability is, there'll be a way of doing it.
100%. Thank you very much. And from me, the best place to start your prepping journey is over on our Discord. All of these guys are on the Discord, loads of knowledge. When you first join the public area, it's quite a short area. There's a few little random stuff in there. Once you become a full member, it really does open out, and there's loads of knowledge on there. It's a great place to start your prepping journey. All the links for my stuff are below all my other videos, so I don't need to plug anything else, but come to the Prepper Meet. Do not miss the Scottish Preppers Meet. You need to book tickets before they're all gone.
Do it now.
So there's no excuses. All right, thanks very much, everyone. Goodbye.
Cheers, Mike. Bye.
Bye, guys.
In the glow of embers dance, we've prepared for every chance, living simple, living true, with the dream we all pursue. Prepared for every chance, living simple, living true, with the dream we all pursue.
I'm Brian! I'm Brian! I'm Brian! I'm Brian! I'm Brian, and so's my wife! Right, take him away and release him. No, I'm only joking. I'm not really Brian.